This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom really is brought to you by...
What the fuck?
What's up, dude?
One of my renters broke the toilet again. That dude takes giant shits. Now I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Why don't you hire a property management company or something to take care of that stuff?
Because they suck, and they take 10%.
You know, our dude Hank owns and manages Heritage Realty Partners. I think he said he only charges 5%, and he visits each property at least once a month.
That's right. He's always posting beers from the road. You have his number?
Actually, I do. His personal number is 805-451-5734.
Perfect. Now he can deal with my renter's big shits.
Heritage Realty Partners.
For all your property management and investment needs.
This episode of Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Notting Hill Travel Bookstore Franchise Opportunities. Interested in traveling the world through the pages of ridiculously expensive picture books? Want a business that is guaranteed not to be affected by that newfangled internet that everyone's talking about? Looking for a great business opportunity which affords you plenty of time to canoodle with visiting A-list celebs? Then we've got the franchise opportunity you've been looking for. With Notting Hill Travel Bookstores, you can scrape by a living, meeting people who are definitely not looking for that thing that you are selling. And with the need of paying for an assistant, you'll be sure to have enough money to buy at least half a loaf of bread and an expired quart of milk for this week's groceries. And with travel bookstores being in such low demand, you can just pop off any old time to run around town looking for that meet cute with the wealthy man or woman of your dreams. Go ahead, run off with them for a while. Nobody cares because your assistant Nettie will gladly give directions to your customers who are looking for actual bookstores or more useful shops. Notting Hill Travel Bookstores, because who needs profit when a sugar mama or daddy could be right around the corner?
Unprofitable bookstores are kind of a theme in romantic comedies.
Absolutely.
It just
Is there
works.
such a thing as a profitable bookstore?
Not anymore.
Start this thing.
What's up, BV Kingdom? That's a new one.
Yeah, I like that.
BV Kingdom.
BV Kingdom.
I just want to say that I'm just a
BV.
host standing in front of 4 other hosts asking you to record me.
I hope you workshopped that one for a while.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got it mostly right, didn't I?
Yeah, it was terrific.
We're talking
You really
today
did.
about, there's obviously subjectivity, but if you disagree with this, you're stupid. I think what is clearly a top 5 and maybe a top 3, and for some people a number 1 romantic comedy of all time, Notting Hill. And we are joined by,
I didn't say anything.
we're joined by several of our regular and less regular hosts. What's up, Scott?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm back in the saddle here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Feeling myself a little bit.
it's nice to have you not only back, but back doing what you do, which is talk rom-com.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while for
it's
that.
wheelhouse
Yeah,
for me, you know. Yeah, and I have thoughts. I actually have new thoughts,
Oh,
which is, you know, at my age and my rom-com count, it's pretty unusual.
I can't
right?
wait for you to learn me some stuff.
You feel like I feel like I would have dulled my rom-com senses by now, but nope, there's still a little left in the tank. What's up, Brad?
Nothing much. My heart is full.
You can't wait. He just can't wait. He already started in on the text thread, just making illusions.
No, you
Making
know,
illusions.
maybe I'm throwing a curveball.
Maybe.
You never know.
I love that idea.
Trying to mislead.
And then my rom-com soul sister, Kendra. What's up?
What's up, buddy?
Blow it up.
They just gave it a little
Yep.
fist bump
Yeah.
across the
We
table.
did.
Okay, so I want to ask you for a second.
Yes, dear.
How much did my characterization go astray? Do you agree that this is top 5?
I think,
I mean, I know you're Harry Met Sally at number 1.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be.
It's hard not to be.
I have thoughts, but I don't
think
disagree.
I would definitely put top 5.
Okay.
I don't know if I could justify putting it higher than that. And I bet there could be a day and enough wine where it might flip to like 6, depending on what I'm. I mean, I don't know what else I would put up there though.
That's
either.
not. So I mean, the other obvious
Princess Bride.
candidates. Oh, see, I'm one that I, like that one just isn't for me. That doesn't. I never. I know. I'm the minority on this.
Sleep.
You're saying that this is better than Princess Bride right now? Is that?
Oh,
that's what you're.
It's not close.
Oh Jesus!
Okay,
Wow, this is gonna be fun tonight.
So no,
I'll
I mean,
try to
like
help
in
as
the
much as I can.
conversation, like Sleepless in Seattle, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Love Actually, maybe.
I do love Love Actually.
Maybe what else are we talking
Gosh.
about here? What do you think?
There's so many. I mean,
Just start naming them. There.
to jump off of her, I do love, or jump off of her.
Jump
to
off
jump
of her.
off of that, You've Got Mail is a great one. I do love me some Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Yeah, that combo.
Sleepless in Seattle's better, but that one's good. Rom-com, Pretty Woman, that's pretty high up there for me.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I'm never sure if we should count it solidly rom-com, but I'd say yeah, and it's definitely top 5.
Yeah.
I dip into some of the Sandlers. Like I actually
50
like
First
50
Dates.
First Dates is like a really solid one for me.
Yeah.
And so the early Sandler, Drew Barrymore is good. But anyway, so Notting Hill though is definitely in that conversation. It's one that I
Absolutely.
think it was, if there are instant classics in the genre, it definitely was an instant classic. I remember it comes out in 99, and I remember certainly by the early 2000s, I was like, this is a must watch anytime you're talking rom-com.
Well, and it came out too right around when Runaway Bride came out, but I think this one was just a little bit before, and this one ended up shooting that one out of the water, even though it's like the dream team of Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
Well, and Best Friend's Wedding, right? Which is sort of like a weird, not quite a rom-com. It's kind of a little different formula, but it's in the same era. And I think as much as, that's obviously a phenomenal like feather for Julia Roberts, career, but it's definitely, I think this as a movie, certainly in the genre, is better. So
Eons ago, we did Jerry Maguire. Is Jerry Maguire considered romantic comedy?
I don't know.
I don't remember what our final
romantic drama.
our
That's
final
sort of a
decision was on
dramedy.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got
Sports
a lot of
movie, isn't
things
it?
going on. It's kind of a sports movie.
I think that it's, I think that it would be a rom-com.
I think that's what makes it cool, though, because it is kind of hits a little bit of everything. Because you get guys who aren't really necessarily into rom-coms, but they love sports and football. So you're going to get those guys in there with their girlfriends and not pissed off because it was a fun movie. Yeah, Jerry Maguire is an interesting. I don't know how to categorize that, but I've always thought of it as kind of a
It's athletic rom-com.
athletic rom-com. That worked. That's perfect.
Nate, can you take the leash off? Can I get going here?
Yeah, but first on Walter piped in, so we have to acknowledge his presence.
What up, Walter?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm here mostly in a support capacity. I don't know a ton about this movie. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
How about
right
the fact that you
up
haven't
front,
seen it? Is that
I've seen.
does that
so
limit your ability to know things about it?
I may have seen this movie in parts
That's cool.
at different stages.
He's
and
seen
so
more of it than I think
we
you
like
would.
that. We
I've
definitely-
never seen it all the way through in one sitting.
Well, you guys are like our favorite romantic comedy couple because you guys had your little the notes and stuff when we were talking about romantic gestures and the little notes. Like we were like, damn, this is like our favorite romantic couple right here.
Yeah, they're hilarious. So it's like, fun.
That's what I'm saying. This is
romantic
the romantic comedy in real life.
All right, Brad, run free.
Okay, so two things immediately that when I watch this movie, if you asked me at the end of this movie what year it was made, I would have said like 92, 93.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like it felt like that type of era comedy. Like that's what when I saw it was 99, I was like, wait a sec. No, this did not come out in 99. This is like one of those early, like around like when Harry Met Sally types. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm completely wrong. So
That's funny because I actually had the opposite reaction. I knew I knew when it came out, but I was like, this feels like it could be more recent. It's just
there's not
interesting.
a cell phone to be
Oh,
found.
I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
You
was
mean like
like-
And newspapers and magazines were such a big deal.
Got it.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, if you heard the commercial, it's like, I was kind of joking, like the internet obviously is coming out and is about to phase out like travel bookstores. I mean, that wouldn't exist anymore. But, and then the second thing that hit me was when I saw the worldwide gross, I was like, I was befuddled. I was like, this movie did 364 million worldwide.
That's slays.
What the fuck?
Well, you
got to
remember that not only was Julia Roberts like absolute she was the biggest
She was
movie
slaying
star in the
it.
world, period.
Right.
When she says 15 million in the movie, 15 million was her actual like what she got for that movie for this movie.
And
so.
Hugh Grant at that time. I mean, he's a forgotten like superstar, but he was at the time was like in the middle of a run of just incredible movies in this, mostly in this genre. But I mean, like Love Actually comes out around this time.
Love Actually is like 5 years later.
Right, but I'm saying he's in the, I mean, that's like sort of
Yeah.
caps it, but I'm saying Four Weddings and a Funeral comes out before this. And then there's like 2 weeks notice or something. I mean, he's like, he's in a bunch of these all of a sudden that are where he just becomes a, and doesn't he also like have
Bridget
some sort
Jones is somewhere.
Yeah, the Bridget Jones.
Around there.
Yeah. So he's just, he's a big deal at the time.
And plus, like, so, Julia Roberts is kind of like America's sweetheart at this point, and he's like England's boy.
Yeah, he hasn't slept with the prostitutes yet.
Right. So
Right.
he doesn't have the scandal. And so, like, you're bringing the whole market of Europe, and then you add it to the American market. So that's probably why it blew up.
And once I started thinking about it, and I'll have some words about Richard Curtis later, like that kind of like makes sense to me. Like it's kind of this perfect storm of a few different people that are all kind of at the top of their game, being allowed to kind of do this, and then it kind of made sense. But I was we had a little we had a beer before we got over here, and I was telling Kendra, I was like, this came out in 1999. I was I think I was a junior in college, and Fight Club also came out in the same year. And I was like, which one do you think I was going to running to the theater to see?
I ran for both. All right. So
I know some of us are more I guess, more well-rounded than me. And
I wouldn't say well-rounded, but I'm interested to hear the sort of like summary take of whether you liked it or not.
So if listeners, if you haven't figured it out, and as we mentioned last week, I've never seen this movie. So I watched it 2 nights ago. For the first time, watched it with my daughter and my wife and it was a movie. Yeah. Okay. So no, I do have thoughts on it. Yeah. Okay. Scotch, what are you thinking?
I also had not seen this. I'd seen a couple clips here and there, and of course the famous line. I mean, we used it in a couple drafts now. Maybe
that's all I knew about this.
Yeah.
Honestly. If you, that's exactly as much as I knew about this movie was that quote. I knew besides the actors, no clue what happens in this movie.
Right. I hadn't seen it. I watched it last night. I had a little FaceTime date with my girlfriend who lives out of town, and we watched it. And
wait a sec. So you guys were like technologically watching a movie together.
Did you do like the watch party
like
thing?
you said, let's hit play together.
We just did the play together. We didn't actually do the actual sync thing because I'm not smart enough to figure that out.
I don't know how that works. I've never done it. I've wanted to do
a watch along type thing.
Yeah. I think you have to have the same level of service on Hulu to do it, which I think we do. But anyway, we just can count and push the button at the same time. Close enough.
Right.
But yeah. So it was actually it was fun to watch it with her. And what I really enjoyed is we both pretty much had a lot to say and a lot to nitpick about it, and we didn't love it.
Really?
There's a lot of problems that I have with it, and if we want to get into it a little bit,
give me a little bit.
My biggest issue is I don't like Julia Roberts' character, and I don't think she's one you want to root for, and I don't know why. And so if there's a character that you don't, I don't see why he would be into her other than the fact that she's big and famous. And it just, to me,
okay. I don't.
It screams that,
okay.
And because I wasn't really rooting for them to get together, that line didn't mean anything. When she said it, when it's coming up, I go, I think the line's coming up, and I don't want this to happen. It was really weird. Because I just didn't think that she deserved him.
So you don't find her charming, like at the dinner with the first dinner.
That's the one time that when she was charming, but the shit that she pulled throughout the movie, the fact that she had a boyfriend and didn't tell him and never really apologized to him, and then blew up on him about the whole paparazzi thing, and then the fact that she talked shit about him when he could hear her when she was on set and didn't really apologize. She just said, didn't want to say anything to the guy that has the loosest lips in town or whatever, and she never really apologized. She didn't earn his love.
Okay.
And if I don't root for her and I don't see him as a couple,
fair.
I can't like the film.
I will say my biggest takeaway along those lines is that I think it does a pretty good job somewhat of like the life of a celebrity, where it's like just being under that microscope constantly.
It puts
and
a lot,
and especially we've always heard the British tabloids are the worst. And I mean, she even comments about that a couple times. And it's like the idea that every single thing you do is constantly monitored and like looked upon, and just how annoying that must be. this is a complete aside, but today I was watching, there's a documentary about Radiohead when they released their OK Computer album. It's called Meeting People is Easy. And at one point, it's just basically showing like how they are constantly just being dragged around to this. You got to go talk to these people, talk to these people, talk to these people, talk to these people. And like this one interview, he's like, so you have all these celebrities like showing up at your shows. Is that pretty cool? Like, have you got to talk to them? He's like, I don't really care about these people. Like, I play my music. He's just like, and then at one point he kind of gets fed up because the guy keeps pushing, and he's like, yes, I had an amazing conversation with Calvin Klein about underwear. And the guy's like, oh, really? And he's like, maybe. So it's just like, I mean, I could see how fed up you would get of just all these annoying questions and like just going through like the little, like where they go into the hotel rooms and the media people come in.
Well, and you'd be on guard, right? I mean, this is the, like, you know, one of the things that I think I'll get to this in a minute, but the sort of like, you know, when you think about this, but I imagine that it would be incredibly difficult to find people who you really connected with and felt and trusted and felt like could be your friends or or a significant other, that in a world in which like you'd been just you'd been sort of, there's no way to know whether that person is really wanting to interact with you because you or you're famous, right? And to try to get something from you. And I think that's the only part. I think that's the part of it that I'm a little forgiving of. Although I guess, I mean, I do see the point, right? Like she could be maybe a more charming character. Maybe that's the weak spot.
I just wish that they would have given her some more scenes to kind of make her seem a little more like you wanted to care for her.
A little more humble, a little more earnest.
Because they kind of did it during the dinner. They kind of made it, she's like, well, yeah, I've been on a diet since I was whatever years old and blah, blah, blah. And they kind of did that a little bit. I just needed more to make her more of a likable, relatable person, because like, why does this guy fall for her? Because she's, how long is it going to last? Because, you know, he really gets to know her and she's, I just don't see them together.
This isn't my alternate ending, but I would love the fact that if like in that whole paparazzi scene at the house, if she would have went out there and like smacked a camera or something, and let that be like kind of like all of a sudden now the whole media in the world's like, oh, she's this like vicious like bitch that like loves to like, that is like violent and stuff, and like he's trying to deal with that. Like, no, actually, I know that she's not, and like let that kind of be like where they kind of bond together or something. Right. I don't know. I want to punch paparazzi. Like I'm not a celebrity, but I think paparazzi, like if you're a paparazzo, fuck you. Like I really think you're like the scum of the earth. I don't even care.
Half our listeners. Kendra, what's your like summary take here?
You know, I understand what they're saying, but I feel like she's just really fucking jaded. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like even when she's talking about Alec Baldwin, like I don't think that they're actually boyfriend girlfriend.
Right.
I think that they. Well, I think I don't.
Well, she makes a comment at one point where she's like, "I didn't know if he was ever going to fly in again." Like they were kind of on the off, and like it was unclear whether they were together or not.
But there's obviously a media narrative about them being like kind of like this little Hollywood couple. Like,
right.
But if he's not paying attention to that, then how would he know that? I guess, and he doesn't seem the type to have any idea who she is other than knowing who she is.
He walks by like the newspapers all the time, doesn't look at the headlines like, oh, what's going on? He doesn't give a fuck.
And so I think I really like how endearing it is where she is like, holy shit, I can be a normal person for a little bit and I can delve into this. And he's so like blissfully ignorant to what that actually means. And I think that is part of why she has such an attraction to him, because he's not really jaded by what she is.
Yeah.
So I like it. I do like her character in the movie, but I also understand why people wouldn't.
Right.
I like the idea of the movie, of the whole like, trying to deal with somebody who's in this otherworldly realm, and just like trying to just be normal with her, and like her trying to figure out, can I be normal with somebody? And like that part of it I do like.
But at one point she even says, I've tried dating normal and it doesn't
just
work.
never works. Yeah.
Well, then what's going to make this any different? Like, is he just
Well,
so special, so much more
Can't
normal?
help yourself.
She probably didn't kiss someone that spilled orange juice on her and then dragged her into a filthy ass apartment either.
Right.
And
Yeah.
was like, this is it. I love him.
I want to live here. There was a blue door.
That kiss came way too early for me.
I see. I liked it. Okay, so let me throw out something that I'm actually pleased that this doesn't seem to be Brad's, or I have less of an adversary here in this particular case, but I think a lot of times the knock, especially from people that don't like romantic comedies, is that they're unrealistic, right? Like you'll hear this a lot, and it's natural to look at it that way because most romantic comedies are ostensibly about normal real world situations, right? They're portraying something that could happen, right? Like, that all of us have had happen, right? You have a relationship with somebody in some, that's romantic or could be romantic or you want to be romantic. And I think as I've thought more and more about it, that's just the wrong way to think about them, right? You should think about a romantic comedy kind of like you would think about a sci-fi or a horror film or some other kind of fantasy or a war movie, right? If you like. And what I mean by that is like, those are all movies that are setting you up to be able to like vicariously experience situations that you'll never actually experience. You wouldn't want to experience, but that you but you would like to know what that would feel like, right? So like, I don't ever want to go to war, right? But you love Saving Private Ryan because you're like, what would it feel like, right? To walk off that fucking boat and be like, I might die right now, and I got to figure out how I would handle it.
But everybody has dealt with feeling love, and I think that's the thing at the heart of a romantic comedy is the idea of love, and maybe it is very out there love, but at the same time, but I can feel love. I can't feel like what it's like to like watch my best friend die in a war or something.
But you've had people die in your life. You've experienced grief. You've experienced fear and bravery. My point is like, I mean, it reminds me of what Dan Carlin says, right? Like he on Hardcore History, right? My favorite sort of characterization that he ever gives is the reason he's so interested is because he's fascinated by the extremes of the human condition, right? Like things that he can't experience, he reads and like experiences through history. And I sort of think, I mean, I don't want to push this too far because I agree that like I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but I do think the premise is the same in that like, I'll never stumble on a celebrity and have a relationship with that person. But you kind of imagine it, right? Like, what if though,
right.
There was this famous person we connected, like you go through that. Harry Met Sally, right? Like I'm never, it wasn't my experience in life to like have a friend that was this longtime friend that like we kind of had this on and off, and then eventually they were my love, like that wasn't the way I met my wife, exactly, in that situation. And I guess I would say, I have a wife that I love that like I don't have any desire to like go have these situations, but like almost the theme of every romantic comedy is that you get to go back and experience brand new love again, right? Mm-hmm. And we all have
butterflies,
right? And you kind of go through that vicariously. I guess my point is like, it's a form. It's not intended to be like it's so real that you would go and say, well, that could happen tomorrow, right? It's supposed to be real enough so that you can connect to the characters and imagine yourself in those situations, but have the situations be things that you'll never likely ever find yourself in, so you can live them a little bit for a couple of hours, right? And I guess I think a lot of movies are same with horror, right? Like you don't ever want a serial killer to run you down.
Speak for
right?
yourself.
Well, you might,
Hey, Scotch outran a serial killer last week in the draft. It was pretty sweet. I will say though that I hear what you're saying, and that makes sense, except for like just the way I personally think about love. It's like I'm not going to put anybody's relationship above like my relationship with my wife. It's not going to be like, oh, like theirs is so much better. Like I'm like, no, my love with my wife is real. Like somebody else's like fake relationship is just not as important to me. But watching somebody like in a war movie, it's like, fuck, like that dude's braver than me. Like I don't know if I could do that shit. Like,
right,
I don't know.
But similarly, right? Like if you but part of the fantasy about a war movie is like you're imagining what it would be. You want. I mean, I don't think it's just like. I mean, for speaking for myself, when I watch a war movie, I'm not just being like, wow, it'd be cool to be that guy. I'm like, man, like what would it be like? I could imagine being that guy for a minute, but I'm not going to go join the fucking army and like go be a special ops guy instead of hanging with my family and my friends. Like, and my point exactly to your point, right? it's not that I want to do that thing instead of the thing that I'm doing. It's just that like it creates this platform that isn't in competition with the thing you're choosing. It's a form of fantasy, right?
Well, see, some guys like romantic comedies and some guys like porn.
You know what? Some guy. I'm a romantic porn guy. Okay.
I think it's called sensitive.
All right. So with that, let's see what our director, what's his name? Roger Michel.
Yep. Let's see what he's up to.
Pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink. We'll hypothesize what directors think. Maybe sometimes get a guess. Makes us look good.
So good.
Let's drink, laugh, and pretend we know what we're
Doing? What are we doing?
Drinking with the director.
Brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
I feel like you guys should release an EP or something with all the podcast songs. Full length.
Yeah, we need to work those things, workshop those a little bit, make them a little bit longer.
That's
That'd
right.
be fun.
All right. So we are here with the drinking with the director section, but the problem is that I can't figure out how to pronounce Roger Michel. Is it Mitchell? Mitchell.
Is he on Cameo?
He's actually unfortunately dead. So we
Did you
can't get him.
call his people and try to book him?
I did, and they told me they're like, "Yeah, he died." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, can you still check with him?" No, it's okay.
Hologram, anybody?
Scotty, you got something for us?
Yeah. So I'd kind of like to shoehorn in a new segment.
Ooh, I like this.
And this may be something that we do every once in a while, maybe something we never do again. But it's a little something I like to call instant socials. And I have a friend of mine here today, and who's very active on the Facebooks and not really Instagrams, but mostly Facebook. Yeah. And if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, we love to interact. And this guy is always jumping on there and telling us that we're idiots, or not really. He's actually pretty.
Which is one of our favorite pastimes,
right?
Just to read about our idiocy.
He loves to throw out his own draft orders. Actually, he'll make his picks off of what we didn't pick. It's actually pretty impressive.
Pretty solid.
He's pretty dang solid. So anyway, my good friend Jason Whitehead is here joining us, and I decided that he should come on because he mentioned that he had some thoughts on this film.
Oh,
I had thoughts.
Oh, Jason, please.
So he was going to have me read it, and then we were actually going to have him call in. But then he actually
why don't just show up?
Drove here from the Bay Area.
I love that.
Just to be here.
That's
so
commitment.
He can give his thoughts.
I'm so excited.
So Jason,
what do you got, Jason?
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this actually all started like you said. I'd never watched this movie before.
Okay.
And
it had 350 million. How did not everybody see this movie?
I saw it.
It was 99.
Were people watching it?
Me and
Were
Nate
people
saw
watching it 17 times?
Yeah,
at the
Kendra and I
theater?
went in about 30 times each. I think.
300 million seems like most everybody watched it.
Right.
Like if you're up above that, it's like damn, everybody went.
Especially at the cost of when it came out,
and the
then it being
world's population was
300.
like what, half what it is now?
Yeah, there was only like 2 million people out back then.
Yeah. To be fair, it was
The 90s,
1999,
am I
and
right?
in '99, like every week there was a monster hit.
Yeah,
that's
true.
true.
Actually,
I mentioned Fight Club
back then.
I mentioned Fight Club, but there was a ton of
So
just
many. The Matrix,
crazy
everything
movies that came out.
Well, it's because we didn't have like phones to watch our movies on.
That's true.
So we had to go to the friggin'
or
theater.
watches.
And speaking of watching a movie on your phone, so I had never seen this movie before when you picked it. I'm playing poker yesterday. This was actually yesterday, I guess. Yesterday.
Yeah, it's yesterday.
And so I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen. This is one of the few movies you guys have had. I've watched I've listened to every one of your guys' episodes.
Yeah,
and there you go. That's how you get your blue check mark on Facebook.
That's right. That's how you get on the show, everybody.
Yeah. That's how you,
Listen to
that's how you
everyone
get invited.
comment. There you go.
So so I decided this is one of the very few ones that I've never seen this movie before. Not a big rom-com fan, to be upfront.
It's okay.
So
we all
yeah,
have flaws.
right? Indeed, we do. So I'm sitting there playing poker, and then I decided
Online poker or like live poker?
No, at the casino. Like
Okay,
live poker,
nice.
Live poker, yeah.
And you're like, I'm gonna watch a rom-com while I'm waiting for the big blind.
Well, but yeah, basically, oddly, it's sort of like I've played poker for like 35 years, and at this point, like watching something kind of like helps my game. Like I can kind of get away from I don't know how to even explain it. It just kind of helps from like it helps to like focus me a little bit more to where I can kind of zone out of all of the other information and only need the information. I don't know how
And if there's any type of movie you're going to watch on your phone, a romantic comedy is like the most appropriate.
Well, sure.
You don't
Just
need sound
laughing
effects.
and crying and then like laying and then rolling up kings over aces.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Like, raking pots. I love that.
You got pocket aces, you just crying, just tears running down your face. Oh.
Essentially, I'll get involved in way too many hands that I shouldn't be. I'll get too involved if I'm not distracted by something else.
Yeah, get entertained.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna put on this rom-com while I'm doing this 14-hour session, and so I ended up texting 30 minutes into this movie. I ended up texting Scott, and I'm like, I should read it just to make it accurate.
You should. Let's be real specific.
Just to be accurate, I text Scott 30 minutes in. I say I'm 35 minutes into watching Notting Hill, and I am officially pissed at Nate. And this hasn't been the case. Generally, I'm on your side.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm officially pissed at Nate. I can't wait to rage listen to next week's pod. So that's what I text him on.
Look at that. You text something like that, and next you know you're on the pod.
Were there other comments? I mean, did you watch the rest of the? Did you watch the other?
No, I watched the whole movie. I'm not.
Did it get better?
No, it didn't get better. I'm not going to say it's 100%. I'm not like 100% against it, but I had major problems with this movie.
What was your most
you're coming in way hotter than I think Nate expected me to.
I know this is. I like it. I'm in so much danger of this easily being the last time I'm ever invited.
This is the shit I live for.
Before we get your take, did you have a winning session?
Last night was bad news. It was not a good. It was.
So is there possible that
it
colored your view of the movie?
In theory, it could have affected my play. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, we were saying that maybe you were in a bad mood and that's why you didn't like the movie.
I mean, mood or not, you can only have so many 2 and 3 outers. It really doesn't matter after a while.
I say if your aces are getting cracked, like at 30 minutes in, you're like, fuck this movie and fuck Nate. Like,
I start being all the other people at the table.
So I mean,
so what was your number one or your 2 top major bones to pick?
My 2 top major bones to pick.
Well, first of all, he sent me an entire manifesto that I was going to read.
Ended up going,
and it was like probably 4 paragraphs long.
Yeah.
And at 2 a.m, he sent me this thing.
I told him, I said, just finished. When I finished the movie, I'm still at the table.
Please. What are we doing? If we have it in writing, let's just read it.
Well, we do. I said, just finished. When do you guys record the pod? I said, I may have a diatribe for you to read to Nate.
Okay, please.
So then I get home, like another 4 hours of play go by or whatever. I get home at like 1:30 in the morning or whatever after losing. And it was a bad night. Now it's a late night. And I'm like, I got to write this thing for Scott.
He's like, I'm going to
This is not ideal. An ideal time to be writing for especially for what potentially might be read the next day on a podcast that goes out to,
millions,
at least millions
of people.
But I did write
all 2 million people that are in the United States in 1999.
Yeah. So I did write this, and it's mild. It is mildly long. It's not crazy long.
We'll edit it out.
Nothing but time.
This is a special episode, so
it's a very special episode. Yeah. So this is titled "Help Me Help You."
At least he got the reference.
There's definitely there's references in here.
Okay.
So I said I want to begin this note with a compliment. Something we can all agree is good and just. Something that steers clear of controversy by remaining firmly in the righteous light of truth.
Oh, no.
The Shawshank Redemption is indeed a monumental achievement in cinema, a worthy work of art that deserves the praise and adoration that Nate has given to it.
Okay. We started strong.
This, to be blunt, is a good take.
Okay.
That's paragraph 1.
All right, good.
Say, it saddens me then to arrive at this place of confusion, disappointment, and even anger regarding this week's film choice, Notting Hill.
It's like I stole 2 hours of his life.
Oh yeah, a little bit. In the past, we all let it slide. Nate's penchant towards rom-coms. His preference for lighthearted mirth that tugs at your heartstrings was amusing, even adorable. However, I can't help but feel complicit in allowing this perversion to fester and grow into the judgment-altering parasite that so clearly is clouding our beloved Nate's thoughts.
Oh.
At this point, we have come to a crossroads where an intervention is desperately needed to try to save our boy, if not an outright exorcism.
Oh, man.
We may need 2 priests, one young, one old.
I love that. I love this idea.
I don't think we need any priests.
Yeah, well, good point. Spotlight made that clear.
That's neither romantic nor funny.
I'll be direct. Notting Hill is horseshit.
Oh, man.
30 minutes into watching this contrived, manipulative, snail-paced dung show, and I was having real doubts as to Nate's ability to make even single cognitive decisions.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, man.
It was around the point in the movie where mumbly-mouthed Hugh Grant is inexplicably interviewing Julia Roberts' co-stars for Horse and Hoof or whatever magazine.
Horse and Hound.
Horse and Hound. It's hilarious.
You're going to insult.
That I had to pause the film and ask myself out loud, what in the actual fuck is happening in this fucking movie right now?
I'll
you know what
co-sign.
the answer is? Love Actually.
I'll co-sign on that part.
Fuck.
I will co-sign on that part for sure.
I mean, why is Hugh's flatmate a maniacal cartoon character?
It's because he's charming.
Oh my God.
His name's Spike. He's
Spike.
Irish.
He might as well have been
Welsh.
an actual cartoon would have been just as believable. And don't get me started on the music. I love Elvis Costello.
Oh, the music's great. It's a great soundtrack.
Oh shit.
I love Elvis Costello. Watching The Detectives is great stuff. Even lesser known songs like So Like Candy are super solid. But when it hits again at the end of the film, ugh, no, Costello, no. I'm going to wrap this up by giving Nate a big grown man hug, looking directly into his eyes and firmly saying, it's not your fault.
Oh, it's not
Your fault. I know it felt like it was genuine, even though it was closer to a Hallmark Christmas movie of the week. But it's not your fault, son.
Oh, man, I feel better.
After all, in the end,
I feel better.
I'm just a verified fanboy standing in front of a Kung Fu Panda, asking him for the love of grenadine to stop with the cheese ball, hopeless romantic, eye-rolling shit fiestas already.
God, I can't wait till I make him watch You've Got Mail.
I know. I'm so convinced that Hope Floats is on the way.
Oh, no, that's dog shit.
About a boy or what.
That was good.
Well
though.
done,
Forgot
buddy.
about
Well
About a Boy.
done.
Man,
Thank you.
well written.
Very, very awesome.
Well articulated.
Thank you.
And I like, he had a lot of references to past episodes.
It was really well
So-
done. It was
Absolutely.
misguided, but really nicely
Yeah.
laid out. I appreciate the care taken with both the prose and the subtle.
I want to know what
So are
the
we-
dialogue was with yourself while you were writing that, because we know you were either on the shitter or you're laying down in bed like.
Did you write it at the poker
You
table?
nailed it. I was literally in bed when I wrote, because it was 2
okay.
like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
He's like, I
I'm
can't
laying in
sleep
bed
until I
on
lay
my
this
phone.
shit out.
So,
Yeah.
Scott, you've got a new bumper to create, which is surprise soliloquy. Surprise soliloquy. Is that how you say that word?
Is that the category? Because that
I think you
seems
nailed it.
hard to sing.
Is it soliloquy?
Soliloquy?
Yeah, we should do.
Soliloquy.
It rhymes with she.
I like this idea a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. We were going to get to that later. That song is fucking horseshit.
It's really bad.
I thought when it started,
I don't know the song we're talking about.
the song
It's used twice.
that starts the movie and ends the movie.
Yeah.
I thought
It is a really, really bad song.
I thought
I
when it
love
started,
it.
and they're kind of showing clips of her
Makes me
her
feel
career.
It's like constant
I like
clips
it
of
too.
her face. Yeah.
I thought it was created for the movie, like it's like a song inside the movie type thing, kind of like a Aldous Snow type thing, like a fake song made for her career, or like it was in a movie or something. I thought it was gonna like go to this, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a legit song.
It made me feel things.
Oh,
Hey.
it made me
I
feel things
see.
too.
I also love the score in this movie.
Well, I love this.
I love it.
There's other songs that are fantastic, and but that one's so bad.
It's really bad. And like I said, I do love Elvis Costello. And so like when he first started, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then it was just every line. It's just her face is so sweet.
Yeah,
So
the
just like,
she's
oh
are a little
my God,
aggressive.
what is happening?
I didn't even know it was him.
I don't even hear that. I just hear magic.
Love.
And you mentioned mumbly Hugh Grant, which he is.
I love
He's.
that.
It's like almost like he was like I don't know, phoning it in or just didn't feel like a connection with Julia Roberts or whatever. Like
it's a character.
You don't think he's mumbly in all of his movies? Because I feel like he's mumbly in all of his movies.
He's always mumbling.
I feel like there's a confidence about him sometimes.
Like down here, like his
that's
mouth
his teeth
talks
problems.
more than his mouth.
But
I don't know if it's a British aristocracy thing or something. Like he talks very like or whatever. Like it's very mumbly.
But he's charming in a lot of movies that I've seen him in, and this one it just didn't do it for me.
But I think it's because he's kind of like a weak little like.
Yeah, he's just kind of a weak little man.
Which does make you kind of wonder why the superstar actress Julia Roberts was into him.
Right.
Maybe she's got an orange juice fetish.
Maybe, actually.
She got that one whiff of citrus and she was like,
So I don't read him as I don't read him as weak. I mean, I think the mumbling is a character choice in the sense that he's trying to be sort of like understated, I guess is the way I see it. But
he got a pretty aggressive with that table of bros that were talking about Anna Scott.
He did.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he get aggressive?
He got pretty aggressive. Hey, he just walked up to him.
Chaps, would you mind? She's a human being.
Right.
Not talking about her.
You know what? That speech could have ended in a big fist fight, okay? If those guys hadn't been...
If those guys had beat the shit out of him.
Just him out in the parking lot just getting beat down. He's like, fuck you little piece of shit.
No, I mean, I guess I see some of his like, he's not shaken by her. Right. And I think that's part of what makes him not super meek is that like he doesn't seem like a weak character in the sense that he walks, and for me, like walks a really nice line between being a little starstruck, right? Which is the way you think you would be, right? But trying to fight that in the sense that he's like, both by his natural predisposition, right? He's like, I'm not, he still kind of relates to her as a person first, and which I think is part of the charm of his character, but also he's somebody who is able to fight off that sort of like natural instinct you would have to be over the top about a celebrity, in contrast to his sister, right? Who is also very charming, right? And like, I think very earnest, but just has no capacity to like hold that back.
She doesn't understand boundaries.
Right.
Yeah, he plays it cool, but he also doesn't at the same time. Like he's talking to her like she's a human being, but he's also saying stupid shit and like stumbling over his words.
Surreal, but nice.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then he like self-flagellates as soon as she closes the door. And then
I thought it was a cool line. I was like, why is he getting so pissed? I was like, it made sense. It was fucking surreal.
Honey was the low point.
But I think like, again, back to sort of my take, which is, I've fantasized plenty of times about the idea that like, what if, this famous, beautiful actress who was actually kind of cool was, stumbled in, to work, where I work and was like, had this, there was, you imagine what you would be like in that situation. Right. And like, I hope, right. Like, I think like in my head, I'd be like, yeah, I might be kind of like starstruck, but play it real cool.
Okay.
Like,
quick
charming.
poll. We got to say that. So quick poll. Who's the celebrity that, like, I'll start because mine are Claire Danes was born a week before I was, and
we have the same birthday,
the 12th. There you go. And so a week later, she's one I always thought like, oh, I could be like, dude, like we were born around the same time, we're the same age, like we'd get along. I always thought Claire Danes and I, Romeo and Juliet.
We should have Cliffy introduce you.
I know what the fuck is going on. Why hasn't this happened yet? And then the second one is Almost Famous.
Oh.
Kate Hudson.
Yep.
Kate Hudson. We share the exact same birthday.
Wow.
And I'm infatuated with her husband. I mean, her
with her husband.
It came out.
Her
Too late.
stepdad. Well, kind of stepdad, not real stepdad.
Oh,
Kurt Russell.
He's great. Yeah.
Not her real dad, but he's obviously not married.
So you're saying Claire Danes or Kate Hudson would be the like that's your like.
Those are the ones
run into the celebrity fantasy.
Well, I'm just saying, like in my mind, those are the ones I thought about, and I was like,
yeah, like what if you were at Last Call on a Tuesday, like just like having a beer after work, and like it's pretty empty, and for some reason she's like on her way to Yosemite, and like she comes in because she's like heard there's a cool beer.
I'd be like, yeah, are you coming back Wednesday? Go to our softball game?
Yeah, but I'm saying
we're gonna lose. But I'm saying
I need some help. I'm saying you 100% would be like, I know you'd be like, and I'm not even saying even right now, right? Even without the idea that you're gonna like be, fall in love with her and marry her. But even tomorrow, you'd be like, I'd kind of fancy about how I'd be. Well, I'd be cool, She'd think I was kind of like cool and hip and
I'd
cute,
quickly like revise my top 5 list of like my hall
free
passes.
I mean, like, so yeah. Who else has a good celebrity? Like, who's your
Yeah,
celebrity?
who's the one you've imagined that like?
Who's your Julia Roberts?
You've like thought in your mind a conversation you might have if you were to meet them.
I don't think there's ever. I know if I ever met a celebrity, I would not do. I'd be like, hi. I don't think I would do a good job with the communication. But the glorious Zac Efron is right around my age, and I wouldn't be mad to know what he smells like.
Yeah.
At all.
I mean, he probably smells
so good.
Absolutely great.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's too bad Zach isn't here because this would be the time when he says, "Hey Scott, wouldn't yours be Katharine Hepburn?"
It's nice of you to fill in.
I'm the exact same age, I think. So. I've raised the cumulative age at the table,
right?
Like just by being here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think honestly, Charlize Theron is our age.
She's
That's a good
beautiful.
one.
This is not a bad
and
choice.
she's beautiful, and I've seen her in interviews, and she's actually remarkably down to earth. It seems like
in Monster. Oh
God, she's great. She looks good.
What reference about South Africa would you make?
Hey, apartheid, huh?
That's what you got, I think.
That's about
It worked out for you.
No Mandela, you got it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
So
no.
you ride tigers? I guess that's not.
I
Africa.
wish I had a good answer, but I've never really had like a
There's
serious
one.
celebrity crush.
Come on.
Yes, you
you
have.
have your chance. You're on the pod. You might never come back.
That's probably not
What
going to
if,
happen.
what if she listens?
No, yeah, well, yeah. There you go. That's
There
possible.
you go.
No, the only like
Oh,
the
shit,
only
I'm
one
writing that
kind
script
of,
tomorrow.
The only one that kind of stands out is, and this is an odd choice because a lot of people think she looks really weird, but Anne Hathaway in
She's pretty.
and she's got the giant eyes, but in Love and Other Drugs,
Oh,
is
you're speaking.
so-
now you're speaking my language.
Look at this. The relationship is
Wait a minute.
repairing right now.
Wait. So you like Love and Other Drugs?
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah.
Damn,
I love
jeez, okay.
Gyllenhaal. I
Now
love her.
now we're talking.
She's
Now we're back.
ridiculously gorgeous in that film. So
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Anne Hathaway
there's
is
that. But I mean, yeah, for celebrities never really been something. I don't know. I think a lot of times in just regular life, you run into like beautiful women or whatever who just aren't celebrities, who are just as hot as they could be working at Starbucks or whatever. So like, it doesn't really stand out to me. It is funny that you mentioned the like communication problem though, because the one time I've ever had any celebrity interaction was after a Raider game, I got to meet, I'm a Washington now Commanders fan. And so I got to meet the whole Washington team after a Raiders game one time. And so I met Darryl Green, who was like my all-time like favorite player. And so Darryl Green comes up, and I locked, like you said, I just locked up. I could barely get anything out.
You
I'm
cool
like,
football.
Yeah, it was just gross how much. And afterwards, I'm like, what just happened to my body? Like, why did that occur? But,
Tackle?
yeah, exactly.
Sex?
Exactly.
Love?
It was bad. It was really bad. So.
Nate, you got anybody?
Yeah, I once charmed Diana Ross on an airplane. So
Oh,
fucking hey, dude.
going for the older woman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
It's like
I
a
was
double cougar.
Yeah, it was like Cougar. Yeah, it was like Cougar squared. She was. Yeah, no, I mean, not that she was one, but I was like, but I have like, I'm just saying, like, she sat in my seat, and I was like, I got on the airplane.
You told Diana Ross to get out of your seat?
Oh, yeah. So she was.
Yeah, but he used
she was sitting
Nate's
in my
voice.
She was sitting in my.
When he said it, he used this like
No, she was sitting in my seat, and I looked
Hey,
in.
baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was clear that they were like
believe you in my
the steward, the flight attendants on the plane were like, wanting to try to get her up front and center. So I'm in seat like 1C, and so I know that she's like been paraded in front of us in Lansing, Michigan, and put on the plane. So I know she's on the plane, and I walk up, and I'm thinking like, wouldn't it be crazy if she was next to me? And I look at my ticket, and I look at her, and I look at my ticket, and she's staring at me, and she's like, "Am I in your seat?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's
You're like, I'm a window dude, okay? Diana?
No, she was on the aisle, and so I was like, and I was kind of like, okay, well,
I'm way taller than you.
I was like, is anyone sitting next to you? And she's like, no. I was like, great, I'll sit there. So I sat down, and the flight attendants are freaking out, right? Because they're thinking no one could possibly, like, this is going to go sideways, right?
Is there somebody already at the window seat?
No, it's a 2 and 2.
Oh,
It's a tiny, like,
okay.
shitty little plane.
Okay.
There's no first
Little
class
hopper.
or anything. Yeah, and so everybody that goes by starts, like, talking to her, and I'm just like sitting there. I'm not, like saying much to
Like,
her.
so you're a singer.
And everyone's shaking her hand, and I'm like, what is this, like a receiving line at a wedding, And she's laughing, and I was like,
I loved you in The
this-
Wiz.
I was like, why did they put you why do you think they put you right there so that everyone could shake your hand? And so, so then like, she's like, we're having a good time. And then they're like, this can't stand. So they move her to the seat behind me because that row's available. And then I sat next to her suitcase the entire way to Chicago.
How did her suitcase smell? How did she smell?
So good.
I love that Nate assumes that there was other circumstances where she was like, can you get me a fuck away from this
possible.
dude?
I don't know why, but I always want to know what famous people smell like. Like, are they more of like a caramel or a pine?
I'd say probably like the magical intersection in the fourth dimension of those two things.
It's the smell of cash.
So
Yes.
I don't know if I'd have a
delicious smell of
fantasy one per se. I mean, Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
I think like I'm with you a little bit that like, there's celebrity. It's not that I'm like I want that, but I think what it really is kind of circling back to the original point, which is it's not that I like that they're beautiful or famous per se. It's that I think the fantasy is for someone who is so guarded because people treat them so much not like a person. I think I fantasize about the idea that I would be able to treat them enough like a person to like break through that.
Right.
And maybe not even a romantic way.
That's why you connect with Hugh Grant, because he does everything just to be like, nah, you're a normal person,
100%.
and I'll get along with you in that way.
You nailed it. That's exactly
There
why
it is.
I like the movie so much, I think, is because like I think I want to be Hugh Grant in that way more than I want to be with Julia Roberts' character.
Did you whoops-a-daisy Diane Ross?
Whoops-a-daisy, I did. Tried to step over.
Whoops-a-daisy.
Step over.
She's like, what did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Whoopsie-daisy. Step over, drag your balls across your nose. Whoopsie-daisy.
Oh, Jesus, Scotch.
All right.
Send him directly to the
Anyone have any
Suitcase.
or you got any more questions for our guest or any questions for the director?
I have a question. I want to know what their house looked like because the apartment was cluttered and messy as shit. The travel store was cluttered and messy as shit. All of the hotels that Anna Scott was in was like
So it's just a pigsty.
wild.
Yeah.
I just was like, what is the aesthetics in that? I mean, I get it in the apartment.
They had a whole staff. She's getting $15 million a movie.
I have a daughter who's in 8th grade, and like we've always been pretty tidy family. Like things are always put away and stuff. You go into this girl's room, and it's just like I don't understand. Like sometimes I'm just like, you seem like you intentionally had to do this mess. Like, how did you do this? And you don't seem like the type that really likes mess, but yet here you are just living in it. And it's like, I don't get it. Some people just are able to live that way. We had some family friends back in the day, and just going to their house, it was always just like things everywhere. Like the bathroom was just wild. I was like, has the bathroom ever been cleaned? No. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know. I guess some people just live like that.
Yeah.
And these are like reasonable people. You wouldn't think like, it's not like they're like in poverty and like just struggling to get by. Like they're just,
like even the back desk in the travel store just has like all these papers like willy-nilly everything's just everywhere. Yeah. And the whole thing, the street in front of the travel store.
Well, and that's an interesting point in that like he plays it off as though Spike is the like filthy one, right? But like Spike has nothing to do with the store. So it's really,
and he even has it in like the chalkboard in their kitchen. Spike, clean up.
Yeah.
Well, clearly Spike was a problem.
Spike is a lot of things.
He's a lot.
I
love him.
I think they could have done more with Spike.
As much.
I think he would have saturated it.
That's the movie I want to see. I want to see Spike and Hugh's origin story.
Oh, I like that.
That was the biggest question I had the entire time. Is like,
it doesn't make any sense.
How did they? Is it just like a random newspaper listing and this dude showed up and like he actually pays the rent? Like, so he's like, fuck it, I guess
how
let this dude
does
stay.
Spike pay the rent?
That's a good point.
Like, what is Spike's job? Like, this guy can't control.
I don't know what the
clothes
meth industry's like.
I don't think he's doing.
Notting Hill.
I think he's more of like a fancy blow kind of guy masquerading around as a.
Yeah, he's hitting the hardcore. He's right in the heyday of like Fatboy Slim. Like he's in the DJ scene, like hitting the clubs and just like.
I love Spike.
And then what's the sister's name? That
Honey.
Like, Honey. She ends up with him.
I love the comment that. So this is another like piece of real charm.
Made zero sense.
Made zero sense. I have it listed right here. His sister suddenly telling his flatmate that they're engaged made zero sense.
But they're the same person.
They're the same person. Yeah.
But there's no fucking build up to that. They didn't show them interacting hardly at all.
But it's because it's totally off camera.
Well, okay, it's assumed. That's great story
Speaking
writing.
of totally off camera, what the fuck happened to Perfect Girl that he goes on the date with?
It just
Yeah,
disappeared.
she was pretty good. Yeah.
It seemed
Well,
like
he
that's
just
where it
didn't
was
call her
headed.
back for a second date.
But he had like 9
didn't
months or
love
6
her.
months.
Emily
between
Mortimer.
getting beat on by Anna Scott, and then all of a sudden he's got all this time. I guess I don't know. Maybe she got with somebody or whatever.
It seemed like
but-
everything was like really going great, and that's where that was going to head.
Yeah.
And they try.
And
I
it
mean,
just disappeared.
So I asked my wife, and she was like, "Well, they kind of insinuate that he's like she's perfect, but she's not Anna Scott." Is that
Yeah.
what we're assuming that his feelings were after that?
She was only in the movie for what, accumulatively
5 seconds.
90 seconds,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. So Nate, what do you think? I mean, the Perfect Girl. Like, why is he not making any moves? He's just paralyzed by
I don't know.
celebrity.
15 million.
I mean, I think there's like,
He's like, fuck, my bookstore is doing really bad.
well, this is, I mean, I think this gets maybe a little bit to the point that like you have to make some choices about things that aren't exactly the way the world would work out to try to play out the fantasy. So like it doesn't, again, this is a point where it's not realistic. It shouldn't be, right? Like that's not that we're not trying to watch a movie in which like somebody can't quite decide which girl he likes better. In the end, he chooses one that he's not like that psyched about, but maybe is, and then maybe that one was better, and then like he can't decide, movie's over, right? That's not very fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think, but I guess I also think like if you want to interpret it in more realism, I would say we meet lots of people that like seem great, right? In our lives for a while, right? And they aren't quite right for us, and some of that's, romantic, and some of that's friendship, and some of that's, family members over time that like wear us out. But I guess I think it's just, the point is that sometimes you're in love with or you're connected to somebody that actually on paper or like in terms of your interactions just isn't exactly the person you should be with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what movie does that way better than
Which one?
this one?
Saving Private Ryan? I'm hearing.
I was thinking that. No.
Return of the Jedi.
Summer
No,
School.
Love Actually, which is hilarious to me because I'm not the biggest fan of Love Actually by any means.
Love it.
Yet, I mean, this
I'll
is a Richard
disagree.
Curtis movie, and I would watch Love Actually 100 times in a row before I watch this movie once more.
I'm so glad you brought this up. So on my hour and a half drive from the Bay Area today to get to the podcast, what I chose to use was your guys' podcast on Love Actually. Was what I listened to from 2 years ago, just to kind of catch up because same writer, same stuff. And during that podcast, Brad, you brought up towards the end of it like an amazing point where you said Love Actually is like 7 or 8 different rom-coms that have all been taken just the meat out of them and shoved them all together. And I would way rather have it that way because I could just get the little snippets of the thing and not have to imbibe the entire mess of it. And that's what this movie is.
I'm glad you bring that up because
Notting Hill is a 2.5 hour version of
It's
one
2
of those
hours and
snippets.
4 minutes, Jason. Let's calm down.
This should be a segment in that type of movie.
Yeah.
And it would be perfectly fine.
And shrunk down to 20 minutes.
This actually, oh goddamn! I'm glad you said this. If this replaced the writer and like the Portuguese girl, if this replaced that segment in the movie, and obviously you can't have Hugh Grant playing 2 people, but this story basically replaced that would be interesting.
It's perfect.
Oh shit!
Because as soon as you extend it, I'm sorry, Scott. As soon as you extend it to the 2 hour thing, it's like now, when I said it was snail paced, that was my problem. It just feels like it's going so slow. It's not really getting, I should say it's not, I shouldn't say it's not getting anywhere. It's getting to where we know it's going.
Yeah.
And it's doing it so slow that I'm just like, you've got to speed it up or shrink it down to a 20-minute vignette in another movie.
I was just looking at my notes, and I always have kind of a form here, and I always have like the year it was made, and then the runtime, budget. I have these kind of things I fill in each time, and I just kind of noticed a little cunty little thing that I wrote, which was runtime 2 hours too long.
So you're saying you could do it in 4 minutes?
4 minutes feels right.
4 minutes was about all you want to do.
There's so many, regardless of the rom-com aspect of it, there's so many like funny little one-liners that are hilarious.
There are some
like
there's some lines.
There
you
was a
take
few
the
moments
romance
I
out,
laughed.
the comedy of the movie is pretty funny.
I did laugh a few different times.
And I mean, like speaking of Spike, right? Like he's got there's some gold interactions,
Tell you a
right?
story that makes your balls shrink to the size of raisins, or however you say. it.
Great line.
He's on the roof, he can't remember at all what,
Flintstone.
no idea.
That was pretty funny.
He's about to go jerk it to the paparazzi pictures, and she's in the tub.
Nice.
I mean,
Thank you, God.
He goes back in for a second dive. Yeah.
And when he visits him in the middle of the night, he's like, I mean, you're why aren't you up there? He's like, can I take a shot at it?
Mind if I have a go?
Mind if I have a go?
That's the movie. I want to watch the Spike movie. Yeah, that's what I'm
all the
saying.
shirts when he's going down for the thing, and it's like, you're the most beautiful girl in the world. Fancy a fuck.
Yeah.
I love
there's a lot
the
of good laughs
T-shirt
there.
that was solid because like I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, okay, he's wearing this little sentimental shirt, and when he turns around, that caught me off guard.
And the whole stupid anecdote at the very beginning where he's talking to the guy that works for him in the store, and the guy's like, one time I saw Ringo Starr, and then he goes through this whole thing.
Yeah,
Not a
there's
classic anecdote. No, like there's lots of those. Like I totally agree.
Yeah, there's so many good one-liners.
Yeah,
So many.
Yeah, I think it is a very funny movie and charming, even when it's not about Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant for me.
So to say one thing positive about this movie, which Julia took a little heat earlier, I guess, but I will say for me, Julia Roberts is actually really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Like she's acting her ass off in a way that like almost one of her better performances. That said, I don't think she's given a lot, and it's not a lot of like this movie doesn't do a lot for her. She's kind of like one note, really. But like she's really pulling it off. I'll give her that. But I guess other than that, that's not
As soon as she said the classic line, "I'm just a girl standing in front of a guy, wanting him to love me," I yelled out loud. I go, "She's an actress.
Yeah,
don't go for it." I yelled it out loud, and Annika was laughing at me, and yes.
I will say that the fact that got drafted, and I appreciate that it was drafted.
Great
I mean, it, on paper, that's a good line. I just didn't feel like it earned it at the end.
Exactly.
I was like, it didn't really, like, you would think this should have a very emotional kind of impact. And I was just like, that's a weird time for her to say that. And like, I thought it was maybe a connection to like, here's my just stupidity. The movie that she was in, what kind of movie was that? Henry James.
Oh, yeah.
Henry James. I was like, is that a line from like the Henry James?
Yeah.
Is Henry James somebody I should know? Is that like
it's a
she's
very writery
stealing that
line? Like
yeah, and then I was like, no, that's just her line. I'm like,
when I said in the little thing that I wrote that I sent to Scotch, when I said like this is my biggest problem with specifically this one, but most rom-coms is the contrived and the manipulative part. Where this writer is like, you could just feel it. And that line, as great of a line as it is such a line. Like no one would actually, in the middle of that conversation, come up with this beautiful, flowery line.
But this gets right back to my point, right?
Right, no, the fantasy
If people say real shit, then why the fuck am I watching? You know what I mean? Like part of me is like...
Well,
for sure.
There are movies like that, right? Like go watch Blue Valentine.
Absolutely.
Like something that like makes you want to like, like be like, oh God,
you want to rip your heart out. Yeah.
Is there but I think I expected a callback. I thought it was going to be in reference to something like a lot of times, and maybe that's even more contrived when it's a callback to something. But like it was just like out of the blue, she just drops this line that like
I think it
has no frame of reference.
Well, I think the frame of reference for it is specifically the entire like thrust of the movie is
exactly.
She's just normal.
Yeah, it's like the whole tension here is that like I mean they have this discussion, right? I've tried dating normal people before, it never worked out, right? Mm-hmm. And then the entire thing is this like she's kind of being pulled away,
break it down to the
pushing
basics.
away because like she's dealing with this like celebrity, and that's the reason he's kind of like I don't want to do this. Like you kind of shit on me because you're dealing with all this and it's in your head that I had something to do with the paparazzi and whatever. And I think she's trying to say to him like if you can let go of that stuff, like if this is just me, a person, like you've always seen me telling you I love you.
Well, and I think she, as much as she's annoyed by her fame periodically, or I guess through most of the movie, I think that this is like when she realizes that she doesn't have to have it. Like she doesn't need that. And I think that she's finally realizing that maybe that's not all that there is. And so
that he is a safe place in that way for her, right?
Yeah.
Like that like he can create a situation just like when she comes to the house for the couple days after the photos emerge, that like she's like, oh, like this is a safe place for me. Like I've forgotten that I have to deal with that shit for a minute. So.
I guess for me, like I dabble in screenwriting a little bit and like highlight dabble. Like I have like, I've been working on one screenplay for the last 25 years, kind of dabble. But for me, dialogue, like that's the problem is it's so, you're on the fence a little bit, right? Because you have to create that fantasy and we're definitely in a world that is not real.
Right.
but at the same time, you want your characters to have that realism, especially during dialogue.
So I totally agree with that. And you're right. If you fall on the wrong side of that line, it takes you. You can't suspend the disbelief anymore.
That's the problem, and especially in rom-coms, you're really straddling that line. It's so hard because you're dealing with the weird fantasy of this happening mixed with what would actually occur, and you don't want to. Nobody wants to see what actually would occur,
right?
But at the same time,
you have to keep.
If the fantasy gets too crazy, and all of a sudden Elvis Costello's singing "She," then I am so out that I can't connect anymore.
And going back to the earlier point of like comparing it to like war movies or things like that, it's like a war movie might do something that's like extreme that like would absolutely not happen in war, but I might just be like, fuck. Damn, I guess that's what happens in war. Well, versus in romance, it's like, really, would that line work?
But you think about like that's a presumption. Like you actually don't have a clue what would work in a sense, right? Like, and you also don't have a clue. You know, I mean, my point is like none of us do. I think that has more to do with like
between the magic of two people.
You want to have you go into that because like you connect with that particular type of movie more. You're begging for them to like allow you to keep your disbelief suspended.
Right.
Like I do that with romantic comedies. Like I'm a romantic guy. I like that. That's a part. I mean, I like lots of different kinds of those kind of fantasies. You know, I like dramatic movies of different sorts. I like war movies. I like sports. I mean, sports movies, right? Maybe sports movies is the best metaphor. Right? There's lots of sports movies that are like, most sports movies have shit in them that's so unrealistic.
Right.
And like, we really want them, like, but we have to live on that edge, right? Like, it's got to be fantastical enough to be worth really like giving you the feels, but not so far that you're just like, this is nonsense. Like
the Jerry Maguire, the flip concussion, and that whole scene, it still gets me, even though I'm like, God damn, that's fake as fuck.
And it's because you fight it off. So I think because of whatever individual choice, right? Like individuals like preferences. Sometimes I think you just fight that off more than other people because that's a movie that you really want to live in, for a minute. So,
all right,
let's move on. Okay, so hey, Jason,
awesome new segment.
It's a new segment.
What was it?
It might be a one-time segment.
I called it Instant Socials because, I
like
Instant Socials. Oh, you did. You gave it a name, and then I tried to rename it. That was terrible.
I like Instant Socials
because he
just wanted to butcher
he jumps on the socials.
Instant Socials gonna get you.
He interacts. He has some great takes online, and this is what it got him. He got him on the pod. So anybody listening,
hey,
you want to interact with us? Maybe we'll have you on the show. Probably not, because you're probably a fucking psycho. But who knows? We'll have you on and we'll edit you out. It's all good.
You can call in by phone. You don't have to show up
we'll zoom
at the studio.
Please don't show up.
Yeah, we would really not like that. And if Scotch, if you do the bumper now, since it's Instant Socials, Instant Karma has got to be kind of the...
It really should be. Yeah, that's a good starting point.
Well, now that I know, I'll scrap Hope Floats and we'll do Love and Other Drugs.
Oh my God.
I like it. I'm down.
All right.
Before I get ejected real quick, I didn't come completely unprepared.
Oh, he has gifts.
It's not anything amazing, and it really should have been broken out probably a little bit early, at least part of it. But I mean, I came to Nate's, so it would be completely,
don't be
ridiculous if I didn't bring.
If you're going to write him a whole
don't
slam
be a
letter,
dick
you got to bring him some sort of present.
We got to get some
nice big bottle of rose.
And you know what? I'm out. So this is perfect. I'm going to crack this thing open.
And then kind of for the whole table, and by all means for Nate and anyone else who wants to partake.
What do we got?
Brown bag. You got a brown bag.
This is one of my favorite bourbons.
Oh God, Blade
and Bow.
That's a movie.
Blade and Bow.
Blade and Bow in the
that's fancy.
in like a $50. It's not anything crazy, but at the same time, it's a good one. So
I'm gonna
by all means partake. And
thank you.
It's got a key on it, and that is the key to Nate's heart.
Sure.
Aww.
Absolutely.
I think that needs to be the song on your B side of your EP.
I love that. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to drink this up. Jason,
absolutely.
Thanks for coming, and keep on the socials. All right.
I'll do what I can. I haven't had a chance to try to win with what's left on the horror
Last
pod.
Girl.
That's going to be Last Girl's going to be a tough one, but
you can do it.
We'll see. I was too busy venting, I guess, about this movie before to write that yet. But
all right.
I'll give it a shot.
We're on to the next one.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt, the host of the Beard Laws Podcast, a podcast that has nothing to do with beards. A podcast where we aim to entertain and interact with our live viewers, but our listeners, they're like the quiet person that never talks sitting around the bonfire because the rest of the group is so entertaining, hilarious, wild, and a little bit dumb. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let Beard Laws and the boys, Toby, Brandon, Logan, Zach, Richie, and our occasional special guest entertain you. We're live on the Beard Laws YouTube Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and for whatever reason you want to see us and or our beards, check us out, thebeardlawspodcast.com. We're everywhere.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you hit it with a shovel, or take it home to mom and dad? It's like fuck, marry, or kill. It's Shag Snack Body Bag.
Okay, so we're doing a little snag shag.
You and Zach go to the same school. No, I'm saying you and Zach go to the same school because Zach last week was in charge and he tried to call it snag shag as well.
I was the OG of snag shag, saying it wrong. Okay, so don't try to put that on Zach. That's my shit. Okay,
it's like but marry, also, fuck, kill.
I want to get Kendra's we used to have the yeah on the board, but
yeah.
Oh yeah!
Oh shit! Wrong button! Kendra. Damn it! Well, she had it right though.
But Kendra just was. I just said snag shag, and she went. Get that in.
You know, she could shag.
Walter.
I thought this was the button. I forgot that we stopped fucking Halloween on here. I gotta bring that back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a real one.
Oh, that was a real one.
Real one.
Kendra,
I get those very often.
I just want to hear Scott and Kendra make noises for the next hour.
Oh yeah. We do a lot of things at the country club, and
that was your ASMR moment.
Walter, the table over under Walter just went.
It's starting to rise.
Rose up about 3 inches. All right, so since we're there, since we're on this, Kendra, why don't you tell us what you want to shag?
I think the shagging in this movie, as we talked about earlier, will be the epic one-liners. Like, I just love the funny one-liners, got a story, whatever he's talking about, has got a story later that'll make your balls shrink to the size of raisins, whether it's the...
Do we ever hear that story?
No. We don't actually. When he's flexing his butt in the windows or in the mirror, he's like, nice, firm buttocks. Like, there's just one-liners on one-liners in this glorious flick, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of tag team on this a little bit because I actually sat at my computer for quite a long time trying to come up with something nice to say. And I actually came... I love unexpected dirty T-shirts. And that was one of my favorite laughs of the movie was that shirt when it says you're like the most beautiful girl in the world or something on the front.
Fancy a fuck.
Fancy a fuck on the back.
Yeah.
That's just, I love a good
when he flicks the alien joke. That's on the first one.
You need to watch Hubie Halloween. There's a bunch of those in Hubie Halloween. Yeah. It's worth checking out.
I don't think I will.
Brad, what are you shagging?
I am shagging miserable Brits who shit on each other constantly. Because I've never seen a group of friends that just basically try to dig as deep as they can into everybody's worst aspect of their life and just be like, oh, fuck, we're jumping on that one.
I think it's so endearing for whatever reason.
It feels pretty Brit, though.
It is very Brit, and I'm just like, man, they go hard on anybody that's having some struggles in life. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring that shit up right in front of everybody and we're gonna laugh about it. And it's just like it's pretty hardcore, and I guess that maybe is kind of the British style of humor, which I actually dig. I mean, there's a lot of British comedies I really like, but it's just like, damn, they're just like burying each other. Like, oh, he's got a fucked up restaurant. Oh, he's got a fucked up life. Oh, he can't get a chick if he had like $100 bill in his pocket. Like, it's just like wild that they're just bouncing off each other. And like I said, I mean, if what's his name doesn't meet the celebrity, they're just gonna be bombing on him too.
Right.
I was gonna shag something similar, although maybe more focused, which is the dinner scene.
Mm-hmm.
in particular is something that like I can watch over and over and over again.
From the shit on each other?
I mean, yeah,
It's
but I
so
think it's more than that, right? Like they're teasing. I mean, like they're teasing each other in a way that I think we would, as longtime friends, we would tease each other in some of these ways.
Right.
I will say that game of who gets the last brownie is like you have to tell like I'm the most beautiful person here.
It's a great
I
game.
love it.
That's a wild game.
And they play it really well, right? Because like it's a lot of self-reflection that's a little real and a little bit exaggerated, and it plays really well. But I think it's just like all the characters are at their best, right? Like she and again, including Julia Roberts' character. I mean, this is the first time you really get to see her kind of like do the thing that she's going to do, which is be a truly sort of like more humble character than you expect. And Hugh Grant in that scene, plays it exactly that way, right? He's aware that she's very famous, but also like, so she tells the whole story, and my favorite maybe single part of it is like they all kind of were quiet, and then he's like, no, and he's like, that's an absolutely pathetic attempt to get the right, teasing her too, and brings her into it. It's such a charming scene. Like you get to meet his friends and sister for the first time. So that to me is maybe if it's not the best scene in the movie, it's certainly the scene that for me like sucks me in.
So I was actually going to body bag this, and I'll find something else. But
no, you can,
same
because
scene.
I'm about to like.
Because how in the fuck is the fucking crippled chick who can't conceive a baby? How does she not get the brownie? Dude, she's fucking.
They're about to give it to the celebrity.
They're about to give it to the
To
celebrity.
be fair, I don't think we actually see who gets the brownie.
Well, Hugh Grant was about to get it. I think he ends up getting it because he's a pathetic bookstore owner. She's fucking crippled and can't have a baby. That gets a brownie. I'm just saying.
I feel you.
This is part of the charm of the movie is that she's. But you know what?
Well, then
she's not somebody who like lives in the self pity of it, which I think is what makes.
Give the fucking bitch a brownie.
Hugh Grant's sister also says that the one guy, she's like, oh, I like you, until you got fat. I mean,
that was harsh. I admit that was.
And that poor guy gets
tough.
nothing. He gets nothing throughout the movie. Like he's just.
No.
I'm
But
sorry.
he's
He's
also,
the
like, an
schlubby fat
idiot,
guy
though.
that just gets nothing the entire movie.
No, he got to kiss a random chick at the fucking news conference.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
and she didn't. She wasn't mad.
I think I might have
She
been
wasn't
looking
mad
away
about
at
it.
that point.
Yeah.
It just like the last 30 seconds. You probably already.
I was
gave
just
up.
like, what am I doing watching this?
All right. Was that your body bag?
Yeah, I already used my body bag. Too.
All right.
I'm like 2 categories ahead.
Well, Brad, why don't you give us what you're snagging?
You know what? I am going to snag Richard Curtis. And the reason I'm going to snag him is because, as we talked about a little bit earlier, this movie versus Love Actually, Richard Curtis directs Love Actually.
Okay.
And I think he actually does a better job than our boy, whatever his name was.
Michelle.
Roger Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Michelle. Yeah, so Richard Curtis, though, is wild because he came up with some really big, huge British comedy bedrocks. Like, so the show Blackadder is considered by a lot of folks as like one of the most like famous British comedies of all time. It was only like a 2-season thing, but like I know it influenced like Ricky Gervais and a lot of other folks. And so like he was doing that. So then he comes in with like Mr. Bean, and like I know I don't know a whole lot about Mr. Bean. I've seen him in some things and this and that, but I mean that whole aspect was his. Like he was the writer for that. Like he's done a shit ton of wild, like amazing Brit comedies, and then he starts just doing these like romantic comedies. It's a weird. It would be like if who's the writer of Seinfeld? What's his name?
Larry David.
Let's say Larry David, who's done a multiple series that are like iconic comedies, and then all of a sudden he's just like, I'm gonna start making romantic comedy movies that are kind of like
Sign me up.
Pretty just basic romantic comedies.
That's basically that's just you're describing Woody Allen.
But Woody,
not quite. But
I mean, I'm just saying, like it's like if Larry David made it a shift to romantic comedies right now, it'd be really weird.
It'd be weird.
And this guy is kind of like that for England, and it's like here he is now doing. But I will say, like I said, Love Actually,
and you're snagging him though.
I'm snagging him because it's like that's a wild career just to like be like this iconic comedy writer, and then all of a sudden you're doing romantic comedies that people do love, but at the same time, like his older comedy is like this different style, and now he's doing romantic comedies. It's a weird shift for me.
Seems like a crazy pivot to me.
Is Mr. Bean very romantic?
You throw romantic in there and just like, whoa,
Mr. Bean
what's
is
even happening?
in Love Actually.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
Yes. He was like a writer for Comic Relief and like the Red Nose Day, which is like a big comedy fundraising day in England, stuff like. I mean, he's like a very legit comedy writer, and I just don't think the movies are that funny. I guess that's what I'm saying.
All right, Kendra.
Nice snag.
What are you snagging?
The snag was a little hard for
It was like
me.
an ironic snag.
That's an ultra backhanded compliment,
Right.
there. I'm going to snag this guy who did a bunch of shitty work late in his career, but it was a really weird career. But I love it, except I don't.
And I like his other stuff more than this one, but it's fine. Let's see. For my snag, I think one scene in this movie that they do a really good job is either the second or third time that they've broken up or whatever. When he's like moving through the town and all of the seasons change and just all the different things that happen in that little echelon of time. I think that they do a really good job kind of showing that. And I do typically like that kind of stuff in movies as well, when there's like a well done, like we're showing you that time has changed and we're doing it in one single shot and we're doing yada, yada, yada. I like that.
So I would say I want to co-sign slightly, which is I was going to snag time. For me, one of the things that's most important that they do well so that they don't lose me in romantic comedies is they get the timing right. And one of the things that in a lot of them, the mistake they make for me is that they make it too short of period of time without explaining that it's that the relationship is appropriate for that amount of time. So for example, things happen very quickly with them, right? You sort of a comment that like the kiss happens too soon was made earlier. I don't really think so. I think sometimes I believe that might happen, but had they had their like little 2-day thing, where they stay in the apartment together after the photos, had that happened, a few days later, I would have felt uncomfortable about it, right? Because I'm like, this is just, it feels like it's moving really quickly and I don't yet buy that level of intimacy. So they allow time to pass in a way that makes it work for me, right? Like I actually like it that they have sort of these breakups and these periods apart because it makes it feel to me like a relationship. I mean, part of it is like, that there's a lot going on without them seeing each other in terms of the way they're feeling and thinking about each other and the contrast, of the time that they're together with the time that they're not. Like that background, like understanding for me is part of what makes this movie really, really great.
I'll jump in on the time thing because, and this is, again, I don't know if it's a combination of writer Richard Curtis with the director, but that scene where he's walking through Notting Hill and at the beginning, there's a pregnant woman that walks by. And then later as the seasons change, now she has a baby with her. It's like, that was a clever scene. It was very interestingly done. Like, and that's why when they were talking about CGI and that, I was like, that happened in like 93. They were doing like CGI like that. That's kind of incredible. Like I was like surprised. And then I was like, oh,
you're
no,
like,
1999.
Like 6 years later, everything changed.
They were getting ready for Y2K,
We went
bro.
from Jurassic Park in like 92 or 3 to all of a sudden like in 99 we're doing like Fight Club shit. So
Bite your tongue. Jurassic Park's amazing. Okay.
I wasn't shit talking Jurassic Park, and that was like
that's
early
that's
CGI.
exactly what you were doing. Okay, Scott. Snagging.
I'm actually going to just snag the supporting cast.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And because I did really enjoy the dinner scene in general and the actors that they got, I really did like the camaraderie and how they played with each other and the different kind of characters that were there. That was an enjoyable part of the film for me. So yeah, I'm definitely going to snag them.
Hey, the love between the husband and his wife who's in the wheelchair.
Amazing.
That's a great one.
When he picks her up and carries her up the stairs.
By far
Yeah.
the most powerful moment in the movie for me is just like their relationship, like that, like they're just like, we're in this together.
Right.
100% appreciate it.
I was a little bit bummed out to find out that she actually really wasn't a crippled actress, though. She was just
disabled actress.
Sorry, yeah. Thanks.
Well, this is only 1999. They haven't, chosen to outsource the people that
Right.
actually have the things yet.
Right.
Just speaking on that for a second, and again, I'm not making any political statements here. It's just like my kids watch The Simpsons a ton, and so like Disney Plus, you can watch all the Simpsons episodes. And I had to look this up because I was watching an episode. My daughter was watching it, and Carl, who's been the long time, it's Lenny and Carl who've been Homer's friends in the bar, and I was like, that's not Carl's voice. Like, what's going on here? And I didn't realize that like a year ago, Simpsons said that any of our non-white characters will not be voiced by a white character or by a white performer. So it's like now they have their own voice from somebody else. It was just odd because I was like, I absolutely noticed like his voice is different. Then I looked up, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. So that's the new time versus 1999.
Oh, you rhymed.
Can I pop in for a second?
No.
Sure.
No.
You're not even.
No,
here,
there's
Walter.
2 no, 1 yes. What do you think?
Yeah, please, Walter.
Sweet.
You're in.
Awesome. So it was said a little earlier, and
Just pop in though for a second, just see how it feels. Okay.
Pop.
Just a little.
Oh yeah.
Little.
Just the tip.
Just little. You guys mentioned earlier how rom-coms can seem they're relatable, but they're unrealistic, right? Because of relationships don't generally happen in the way that they're portrayed in a romantic comedy, even though the goal is to get everyone to relate to the relationship that's happening in the film. And I think the time part of it, going back to what Nate and Kendra were saying, is that's a big part of it, is things either move way too fast or they try to portray them in a way that takes some amount of time, but they don't do a good job in relaying that passage of time. And When Harry Met Sally, I think, is a film that does that so well because of the way they transition between the different pieces in the movie, right? With the interviews, and it's a very easy but clever way to, hey, we're in a whole new time period now because we've moved away from the movie. You're talking to this couple on a couch in a floating head interview, and now we're back to the film, but it's very believable that we've jumped forward a year or 2 years or 3 years, and I think that's another reason that movie does a really good job at being a great romantic comedy, much as it sounds like Notting Hill has, because I don't know, I've not seen it, as I said.
You are beautiful at promoting former BVK episodes.
Yeah.
Go listen to When Harry Met Sally with our lovely Kendra over here.
Yeah, it's me.
Did you take?
I can't do it.
You snagged.
I just don't do that.
I snagged that.
I should never do that again.
I think you should.
Are we on body bagging?
Yeah.
It is time for body.
Brad, why don't you body bag so we get that out of the way?
Yeah.
Said the whole movie.
Well, just 2 quick ones. Is one, a travel bookstore. Like, what the fuck? When you're thinking of a business type, you're like, I'm going to sell just travel books. Like, who the fuck thinks that up? Like, and
he's probably got like are we sure that Hugh Grant doesn't have just like a huge like trust
fund?
Yeah, did you see that
he's
fucking
like,
apartment?
He's like royalty or some shit.
Trust.
Like, what's going on here? Like, he just has this bookstore that is doing nothing. He's got this other dude working there, and like he's not there half the time.
I just don't know why wouldn't you just have a bookstore, and then if you really like travel and know a lot about travel, have a great travel section, like the biggest travel section, but then have fucking Winnie the Pooh. Or have fucking
or the
Grisham.
the doofus that shows up twice. That's just like, that really annoyed me. I was like, I know it's a silly joke, but he does not need to show up a second time in the middle of their emotional moment. Whatever. And then my second one was just paparazzi. I said this earlier. If you are involved in paparazzi in any form, shape, or form, or whatever, fuck you. Leave people alone. Let them live their lives. This is bullshit. Like, quit making money as a leech on society.
Random little comment here. So when I was living in LA, every once in a while I'd drink a little bit here and there, and a character would show up to our parties named Chongo, and what it was me with my shirt off running around, allegedly.
I really like the name Chongo.
My friend Kara actually had a roommate at the time, and he was a member of paparazzi in LA. And he has the only known picture of Chongo.
Chongo in the wild.
And I'm in the bushes, literally looking out like this look on my face.
If you're out there,
I'm so proud.
Whatever your name is, I will buy that picture of you.
And then he'll kill you because he thinks he should go
$250. Show up. And
There's lots of orchards out here.
Steal that.
So I have been photographed by paparazzi.
Not you, Chongo.
But, but, not, but, 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 but,
Yeah, it's not really, not really you at all. All right, Kendra. Did you take?
What?
Are we on body bagging?
What?
body bag something if you can.
I'm gonna body bag from a person wanting to be in the environment perspective, that fucking apartment. Also, what is it? Is it only 10 feet wide?
Yeah, it's so narrow.
I don't understand. And then there's the stairs, but then there's this weird thing over
There's
here.
a bathroom over there to the right.
And then
Why?
there's apparently at least 2 more rooms
Guys,
and then a roof thing.
I hate to be the guy, but it's a flat.
What does that mean?
Isn't England out there flat?
British for apartment.
Well,
you
it's
want to use the
multiple
proper
stories,
terminology?
so
You fucking.
he does call them a flatmate.
What do they call those folks?
Okay,
Whatever
chongo.
files.
They're called chongos. Yeah. So, anyways, the apartment, I think, mixed with the particular part of the paparazzi scene when he opens the door and shuts it, and then just like turns around all bewildered, and then
he
doesn't even stop her to open the damn door.
Is there no other way out of that apartment either? She just has to go out of the front door when they're all there.
It doesn't seem like it. It's literally an alley.
I mean, it's
with
a
no
it's
back.
a flat. Flats don't have
Yeah,
back
it's a flat.
entrances. No,
It means that the whole back is flat.
that's
There's no
literally
way
why
out.
it's called that.
It's a flat wall.
Yeah. Prove me wrong, Brits. Okay. So I'm going to body bag this really specific thing that I remembered how just much it drives me nuts. It's the one thing that truly takes me out of the movie. And it's when Julia Roberts says the word breasts twice.
Oh.
Breasts.
Yeah, the whole boob scene is kind of weird.
And I'm like, why are you saying it that way? Like you're saying it stupid, like almost like pretentious or some stupid way. And 2, bad take. Like, well, they're just breasts. Like it's the stupidest, oldest take about breasts. Okay, they're just breasts. Every dude that is likes chicks since the beginning of time is like, I'm all about that.
Women also appreciate boobs, regardless of whether they want to motorboat them romantically or just for fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you. I'm not part of this segment other than my occasional little clips here. But
you're speaking up a lot for not being a part of the segment.
When we were at home today before we came out here to record, that particular scene was where we were in the movie, or where she was in the movie, and so I watched it for a little bit while we were getting ready to leave, and that's such a bad take. I agree with you.
I mean,
what's it with breasts? Why do you guys like breasts? Well, have you seen them?
Yeah. Well, and even let's set aside the normative judgment here that I subjectively think that breasts are great, which I do. Is that not clear for anyone? Okay, good. But I'm saying,
we going back to shag?
Yeah, we're shagging again. We went full circle. But my point is that it's a dumb take because it's whether you get it or not, there's obviously something there. You know what I mean? This is not an accident, right?
Yeah.
Across culture and time, breasts are a pretty big deal.
Is it also a little bit like a "Hey, tell me I'm pretty" kind of thing? Because they just did it the night before, right? Like they're in bed together, and she's naked, and then she's like, "Oh, why do you like these? Why do you like these? Look at them again. Why do you like these?"
If I could go back and body bag, I would say my biggest thing is when women are covered up after sex, just because it has to be a PG-13 movie, they're not showing her tits and Julia Roberts, whatever. But it's I hate the whole covers up to here, which you just fucked. Nobody's hiding their tits.
She might be cold though, right?
Yeah.
Chicks get cold.
I guess it is England.
Am I right?
It's true.
It's England.
Maybe flats don't have heaters.
Flats don't have heaters. We're in England.
That's
That place is cold and musty.
Shit. There's no exhaust or anything, so
No, you can't even get out the back. Okay. All right. So there's no back door in that flat. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Speaking of flat, Julia Roberts.
Oh man. Anyway,
Is she listening to this pod? Should I be worried?
She's not. I don't think. Is she? Well, anyway, Hugh Grant doesn't think so. So anyway, I just think both the way she says it and the take is just that's nonsense.
Well, and do women? I mean, I know they don't do it probably at the level that dudes do, but they talk about dicks, right? I mean, they're gonna.
Do you talk about dicks?
Yeah, I don't. Respectfully,
I
don't talk
Hey,
in
Walter,
general.
Earmuffs.
No,
Earmuffs, Walter.
regardless,
just do females do females have conversations about dicks in jestful ways?
No, yes. All I was gonna say is that I've never really been one to talk about the penis a whole lot. I mean, I'll exchange situations with my friends, of course, but I'm not but there are girls that only want to talk about the dick.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, they're out there.
Yeah. See, Julia Roberts is fucked up. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Well, hold on. Anna Scott This is not a Julia Roberts
let's
interview.
not personalize this, okay? It's Anna.
I will say, post this movie, I read an article about Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, and like Steven Spielberg says it was like the worst person to ever work with, and she was a terrible person.
Steven Spielberg
Absolute
can eat a bag
diva.
of dicks.
Yeah,
And like an asshole.
Spielberg I might not believe his take on this.
So we're saying Julia Roberts is an angel?
I love
I'm
her.
just saying I don't believe anyone about anything.
I can see her being a dick. She when she was when she was getting angry, I felt like that's the real Julia Roberts. Like, she's not acting right there. She's being herself.
Oh, anyway, you know what? Corollary: do gay guys talk a lot about dicks? Because like maybe that's are you more or less likely to when you have?
I think that they talk about it as much as girls or like as women do, for my experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like I have a lot of gay male friends.
Do women talk a lot about boobs?
Women talk about boobs more than men talk about boobs.
No, that's not true.
You don't have to believe me.
Okay, in what? Give me the context here. Like, what?
It's not necessarily
what would they say?
like we're holding them. Like maybe we've not spent enough time around each other enough, but I have my hand on my boob right now. Right now.
Which actually she does. And I did not know until she like pulled her coat aside, and she's got a full side cup. Like it's
just we're always and we're not talking about like, oh yeah, I love when it came on my titties, but we're always talking about boobs.
Yeah, like
oh,
look at her boobs. My
yeah,
boobs
absolutely.
Like,
yeah, we're always talking about titties.
Nipples are hard and everything.
Yeah, my
nipples. More.
Yeah.
So bottom line, Julia Roberts, bad take. Definitely deserved a body bag.
Yeah, I want to circle it now. Okay. Yeah, bad take. Okay, so I think that probably brings us to the next segment.
Yep.
Crackle, Pluto, HBO, find anime on Crunchyroll, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Tubi, Sling TV, Shudder, Fubo. What the fuck is Fubo? Sure, it'll cause a sensation. It's a streaming recommendation.
All right, so we are at the segment where we all try to offer you, if you liked or hated Notting Hill, depending on who you're listening to, then here's another movie that you might like or hate or like instead. And these are the streaming recommendations. Scott, what do you got?
Well, I love Julia Roberts. She's fantastic. And I've already said that I didn't really love this character that much. I didn't really think that she was given enough to make me like her. And so I was trying to think of a movie where I absolutely just fell for her, and that's just got to be Pretty Woman. Yeah, I love that movie. And if you're a fan of hers, and if you haven't seen it, which would be kind of weird because I think most people have seen Pretty Woman, it's just a fantastic film. And it's on Apple TV for money, but check it out.
Well, I mean, you're used to giving money to prostitutes, so
it's kind of my thing.
That is unverified information, folks. I just said that to be
pure speculation.
Pure speculation. He was a rock star, but I don't think they actually have to pay for it.
Yeah.
All right.
They're usually just provided.
Bradford, what do you got?
I think every time we do a romantic comedy, I'm going to offer this up. And if you have not seen it.
I still haven't seen it.
No. That's the wrong. You're all jumping the gun. I'm going to offer They Came Together, which every new romantic comedy I watch, I make more connections with They Came Together, which is just the wildest romantic comedy spoof you could ever watch. It's just got some really fucked up, weird stuff that happens in it, and I love it. And right now, it's on Freevee.
Freevee?
Okay. That's not a real thing.
If you are freeveeing,
you're
time right there.
Every time you've brought this up, I think I want to watch this, and I still haven't.
Oh, so you really haven't?
I haven't. I
think I might have made Nate watch it. I don't know.
Oh, I watched it before you.
Did you tell me about it?
I probably told you about it. Yeah.
I watched it on a plane to Hawaii, and I watched it. Melissa and I were dying, as we were just laughing our asses off watching it.
Okay, yeah, I need
It's very funny. It's very raw.
Walter, you're sitting here. Have you and Kendra done the They Came Together yet?
They've come together multiple times.
They're our favorite romantic couple. Of course they have.
Yeah, I think we've done that, but we've not seen the movie.
Okay.
But you've recommended to us.
At least he said, "I think we've done that."
I will say, I had
Isn't there a little doubt in all of our minds?
You recommended it to us a few times, though, and it is something that's on that ever-growing list of things that you have to watch that never gets shorter.
Especially with Kendra's love of rom-coms.
Yeah.
It's worth checking out.
So we thought you were going to recommend Amelie for the 100th time, and I will say that I had a conversation with Zach's mom, Wendy, a couple of functions ago, and she was berating me also for not having seen Amelie.
Yeah.
She said it was great, and I was like, isn't it like an animated movie? And she's like, that's nonsense. I don't even know where you got that idea. And I continue to believe it's animated. So.
I also have not seen him.
Okay. So
it'd be a nice little
Amelie?
watch.
It's Amelie, right?
Amelie.
Amelie. I'm saying that right? Okay, good.
Amelie.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend what this isn't probably strictly true, but I'm going to say it's true. Where Hugh Grant really like got his start, where he went into like the next level of sort of like stardom, from kind of like a very at best B movie star to I think bona fide A-ish list, and that is 4 Weddings and a Funeral. 5 years before Notting Hill. He sort of has a run where he plays very similar characters, although I would say that probably his character alone is more interesting in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. And if you wanted more Spike, there's some oddball characters in 4 Weddings and a Funeral that kind of together take the place of Spike. But in general, I would say it's the better of the movies. It's just not the one I enjoy more.
Okay, that's my question. I was just going to ask you. I was like, why didn't we do 4 Weddings and a Funeral first? Because I've not seen that either.
It's a very good movie, and I think one that has more going for it in terms of the things that aren't about the romance. So it's really good and available, unlike some of your other pricey options.
Mine is free V.
Yeah, yours is not even a real thing. Mine is streaming on Prime, Hoopla, Tubi, DirecTV. There's a lot of places you can get. Pluto TV with ads, Paramount Plus. I mean, it's everywhere.
Wow. Okay. I've never seen it.
It's really good.
Do you think it would be something that we may do on the?
I would say no.
A quick thought on Hugh Grant and Hugh Grantness as far as characters are concerned. Isn't Hugh Grant just kind of always Hugh Grant, but a different version of Hugh Grant?
So there's a few where that's not true. Like I think. So the most notable break I think among this genre is Bridget Jones' Diary.
Okay.
So he's the most different, and I'll be curious. I would be curious to hear Kendra's take on this. That she's not sitting in on this segment, but I think his character is a pretty big break in that movie. He's more of a like arrogant dick.
Okay.
And I think not nearly as sort of an understated kind of, like slightly self-deprecating, like he is in Notting Hill.
Well, when we promoted this last episode, I mentioned that he was in the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, and again, it's not my stream recommendation, but I'm sure it's free somewhere. It is a great, fun little action movie worth watching.
I have it recorded on my DVR right now.
You need to check it out. It's
to.
Actually just ridiculously more fun than it should have been.
Because I'm a total nerd. I always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I didn't have friends.
Liar. But at the same time, it's worth your time. If you're out there and you're thinking, why would I watch a Dungeons and Dragons movie? If you want just kind of a fun, it's got that English sarcastic humor. It's silly, and it's got also some fun action sequences. It's a good movie.
Sweet.
Check it out.
What's next? This happens at least.
No jet wash for Maverick, Meg still on that goose stick. Iceberg list Titanic, Leo's drawing that nude shit. Jim fucks Nadia like we all thought he should. Ricky and Doughboy get the fuck out the hood. Luke hooks up with Leia just like he's intending. It's time for a reshelf and alternate endings.
All right, fellas.
Real quick, I got a question for Scotch on that. When you were doing like the little hi-hat, like that little drum, or is it with the little stick, like the little stick noise? Mm-hmm. Were you doing that individually, or was that part of like a loop or something?
This is all programmed.
Okay.
That is the only loop where
tick 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 tick.
Because you wanted kind of a hip hop thing. I did grab a loop off of a program. I'm a fraud.
You suck.
I've been giving you producer credit like the entire time. I was like, dude, I'm the Jay-Z and you're my Kanye.
I can't do fucking everything.
All right, what are we talking about?
What do you got alternate ending for there, Scotty?
I'm actually not going to alternate end it. I'm going to reshelf it.
Oh, I like it. Go.
It's been, we don't do that too often.
We don't.
I'm going to reshelf it, and I'm going to put it, just walking on over to the thriller section.
Okay.
And so after she comes into the bookstore, like he becomes obsessed with her. And then all the scenes where he like runs into her, he's actually stalking her and like following her around. And then they kind of have some interactions, kind of like just how the movie goes. But then there's also some scenes where he's like killing the like publicists and her handlers and the managers. And he definitely fucking kills Alec Baldwin at one point. And so he's kind of, basically working her from both angles, making her think that he's a good guy, but he's really killing people just to make sure that she's going to be with him. And then finally, at one point, the scene in the bookshop where she says the iconic line happens, and he realizes, oh shit, it worked. She actually fell for me.
Wow.
And then he feels guilty for all the murder and all the shit. And then so he confesses that he killed all these people to be with her, and she leaves. The end.
She's wearing a wire.
Right. And that's instantly a better movie.
So I like the idea. Can I riff a little on this?
Sure.
What if like we go really kind of like, psychological thriller, and we find out that a lot of, we see the movie a lot as it is, but then at some point we realize like a lot of it's in his head.
Yeah, it's all imagination.
And so
Kind of like American Psycho type.
Well, yeah. So like she actually, like he's a stalker who's been like, following her, obsessed with her, bumped into her on purpose.
Right.
And like as the movie goes on, like she's becoming more aware of it, and in his head, like it's all returned. And so you figure this out right at the end.
And I know, like, if you're like me, you're one of those suckers for like right at the end, like they start flashing back to the scene like as it really was, and like you see like when he hit her with the orange juice, she was just like, what the fuck? Like, get away from me!
Exactly.
And like kind of like walks off like in a huff, and like
scenes,
you get to
the highlights.
Yes, and you get like.
But in his head, it was like this magical moment that kind of happened.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
You likey.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I do have an alternate ending, and after she comes into the store, he never sees her again, and the business goes under, and his friends make fun of him for being a loser, and he jumps off a bridge. Did I get too real?
I like it.
Oh God.
Which bridge?
Let's say the
London Bridge?
London Bridge. And then it falls down right after. Sorry.
Nate.
All right.
Sorry.
So
I think the key part though is the friends making fun of him. Like that's important.
So I'm not going to do an alternate ending. I'm going to do a sequel. It's kind of like an alternate ending, because you give it ending. Right. So it ends with her pregnant, right? She's going to have a baby. So in the sequel, we open with her filming. She's filming a new movie, and Hugh and their love child are on the set, kind of hanging around. And so the movie is like a thriller where it's like a vampire thriller, and so she's one of the she's the heroine, right? Who it turns out is in the end is a vampire, but she's a good vampire, right? She fights off the urge and she kills all the bad vampires.
Wait, so is it the movie within the movie?
Movie within the movie.
She's playing in a vampire
exactly.
movie.
And so Hugh's around it, right? And so this goes on for about the first 20 minutes. You see in and out her doing scenes. They're interacting. It's very loving. The child's about 6. And then they leave and they go back home to their super messy apartment that is it's just shocking, and Spike still lives with them. And so that's cool, but he and the bird feathers have divorced by this time. So Spike's still in. So then they start noticing weird things about their son. Because he's obsessed with the vampire movie, and he starts talking about it all the time. All of a sudden he starts sleeping a lot during the day. And so it turns out that one of the actors on the set was an actual vampire and bit him. And so the movie, like they're slowly, like, they won't admit it, they won't accept it, and finally they come to grips with it at the end when they both wake up in bed and he eats them. Notting Hill Till Dawn.
Notting Hill House, you mean?
Notting Hill House.
Notting Hill House.
Oh,
That's my alternate ending. Okay, so you got any alternate endings over there, Kendra?
Ooh, let's see.
Any reshelves?
My alternate ending will be Spike actually ends up with her because she's trying to get the, the life experience of a commoner. And so she just jumps all the way in, decides Spike's the fuck she fancies to fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the poor little Hugh Grant still jumps off the bridge.
It's a better movie.
So the night that Spike comes down is like, hey, can I have a run at her? And he's like, don't do it. And Spike's like, fuck this. I'm taking
Well,
I'm
see,
taking
what
my
happened
shot.
is we didn't know that Spike was actually really good at the violin. So he went into the room and he started playing "She Will Be the Dead," and then the rest
right
is
outside
history.
her door, and she opens the door with those eyes.
Herstory, if you will. Yeah.
There we go.
What was I going to ask Kendra the last segment? What was the question?
Do a streaming recommendation.
No, but I was going to ask her about some. I wanted to get some take. Was it about what?
Hugh Grant not being Hugh Grant.
Oh yeah. So we were talking about, like, is Hugh Grant always Hugh Grant? But I was saying, like, I think Bridget Jones' Diary, he's the most different of the, like, rom-com-y.
But I also feel, I don't disagree with you, but I also feel that that's probably the most accurate representation of Hugh Grant.
Of him, the prostitute seeker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just based on, the tabloids, tabloids that Anna Scott doesn't want to be in. Yeah. But no, I agree with you. I think that this is probably kind of there because he's not, he's got a quiet confidence, I guess, in this movie, but he's a lot more like he's Hugh Grant in a lot of his other movies, where I feel like maybe, at least the way he acts in this movie, it almost seems like he's still trying to find his swag.
Yeah.
Where in the rest of the movies, he's got the swag.
By the time he hits Love Actually, right?
He's the fucking prime minister, and he kind of owns that. Like, he believes it.
Yeah.
Like he's more like confidence than he is self-deprecating.
Because he's still a mumbler. He says, "Oh, do we call her chubby?"
Yeah,
but he's still a mumbler.
Yeah, no, he still has a little of that, like, understated
he's
charm,
like
but he's like,
mumbler.
he's got the BDE though.
Yeah,
for sure. In that one.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay,
I know what you're saying.
So
there's a whole song about it nowadays.
So there's a song about BDE.
Yeah,
he's got big feet.
We'll play it for you later.
Cool. Okay. So I recommended 4 Weddings and a Funeral as my stream, and so do you? So I said I think that might be the better movie overall, but it's not the one I enjoy the most.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that my parents, not to you're younger than my parents for sure, but my parents love 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I know, I don't know why. I felt like I needed to.
Why was she eyeballing Scotch over there?
I was not. I was looking at
your parents? How old are your parents? Are they
my mother's
60?
My mother's 70 something. And my dad, rest his soul, is.
You had to state that we're younger than your parents, as though it was close.
But first of all, you didn't know how old they were before you asked, so let's start there.
Yeah, I know, but you did.
I know. I don't know. I just felt. I just felt like I had to justify myself. My parents love that movie, and they probably like that movie more than this one. But I don't think that they're right.
Yeah, this one is a more enjoyable, like, if you're in the rom-com genre, you really want to feel those things. This one makes you feel them. Mm-hmm. But 4 Weddings is...
You guys are going to get me to watch that stupid movie.
It's really good.
Even without the pod's influence.
And then and then he's going to come back and just shit on it and be so mad.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Peter Dinklage?
No, that is Death at a Funeral, which is also a fantastic flick. Which is a fantastic flick. What would I say? Did we say Bridget Jones already?
No,
I would say Bridget Jones.
That's your.
I would toss the ball to the opposite side of Hugh Grant, or I would say the sister flick of this one that came out within a year of it, Runaway Bride, with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
You think of that as the sister flick, huh?
They came out within a year of each other. I just
thought that one was such garbage. Like, I really disliked it.
See, I enjoy it, but I also enjoy garbage-esque movies. So
Bridget Jones is available on Paramount
Thank
TV.
you.
Good for
Thank you. I
Bridget
can always
Jones.
count on you, Brad. I love that one.
I think Walter had it up.
Bridget
too.
Jones is really good.
And Runaway Bride is available on Netflix.
Look at
Oh
that.
my God, tag team.
Look at
Good job,
you
boys.
guys. Okay.
Tag team,
Team
back
with my wife.
again.
That's weird.
All right. So
Vampire people, let's begin.
so our
Let me hear
alternate
some noise. Sorry.
our alternate ending was
I heard you, Walter.
Kendra offering a streaming recommendation in the alternate ending section. I love the meta.
Yeah.
Very meta.
You
This
know,
has been a weird episode. New segments and new kind of
Yeah.
chaos.
We like to keep things fucking
Throw the
fresh.
rules right out the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing next week, Nate?
Next week we are doing. I have no idea. Oh no, we're drafting, aren't we? We're drafting the most memorable hairdo in films. And
So
you know,
I gotta say, so we were talking about this, and we kind of had a draft like the most memorable sidekick, Spike as being the sidekick, and then I said, Nate, hey, what do you think? And you threw out hairdo, which I was like, oh,
well, I mean, Spike, has more of a name of a hairdo than the hairdo itself, but Honey, right, has the
She's
she
got
and
some
I
wild
love the
stuff.
reference that she makes, right, that she has feathers, not hair.
Yeah.
It's a real nice moment of reflection. Like she's like, it's you could imagine her as a character that has no awareness of herself, and then you're like, oh, you're totally aware, you're pretty comfortable with yourself, but you know that these are things that you feel a little bit like self-conscious about. So I love her feathers, but then Flopsy, right? Like it's all about his hair. He has this middle part, the classic middle part Hugh Grant hair. And so
now, this is a time to, and Nate, I hate to bring up sad stuff, but did Matthew Perry kind of like co-opt that hair, or is that like who co-opted it here? Because it seems like it's kind of the same hairdo, right? Rest in
Technically,
peace,
Matthew
Perry.
Perry was doing it first.
is that right?
R.I.P. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I know
Because
Nate's a
Friends
big Friends
was-
guy, so
Oh, we can talk about this later.
So it's funny, and that's probably true. But I think because Matthew Perry's hair is a little bit shorter most of the time, it's not quite as like long, floppy.
I wouldn't call it floppy, but it's got that mid part.
The middle,
with the
yeah. So the middle part for sure is his thing. But I would say like it's not for me as recognizable as the Hugh Grant because it's just a little more. I don't know, something.
I feel like Ross has the more knock on the head hair.
Yeah, he does. He definitely has the helmet. Yeah, I mean, frankly, right? The women and particularly really,
They're the hair.
really Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer
more than
Aniston.
any-
well, yeah, Jennifer Aniston was a
she
whole
defines.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, like her
She
hair
is the hair
like
of the 90s.
Yeah, people were showing up saying, "Give me
and-
the Jennifer Aniston."
Right.
Right,
Like, that's kind of
literally
wild.
the name. Yeah, no, I mean, if we were going TV, I arguably next week we would have to go Jennifer Aniston
101.
That would be
For
a
sure.
first rounder.
Yeah,
I thought
so-
that Jennifer
Well-
Aniston was a shirt with no bra.
you know what? We've had this conversation. I think she wears a bra and just has razor sharp nipples.
And they're also just really long.
Erasers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really long. Why? What's wrong with that? I don't
Didn't see anything
understand.
was wrong with it.
I like it. Okay, so don't judge me. All right, so next week we're going to do the draft. We'll talk hairdos, and please join us. You saw what happened when Jason went hard in the paint on our
Right.
Facebook page.
Yeah, he showed up.
He showed up. So commit, people.
Right.
Show up on the Facebook.
Show us something.
Show us.
Share the page
Yeah.
on the Insta.
Show us something. We'll bring you on.
Yeah.
Show us, huh?
Well,
Yeah, like
Like-
post pictures.
Like
Not-
a little titty show? You want a titty
no
show?
dick pics.
No, not
really
Dick pic.
long, hard nipples.
We like
Real quick, this is a rewatchables reference because we kind of started this after rewatchables. But there is right now on the Ringer Podcast Network. There's this commercial for a company called TickPick. It's basically how you send tickets to people like that you've bought and you want them to like take your tickets, and it's called TickPick. And Bill Simmons' voice goes, "Hey everybody, this is about TickPicks." And all I ever think of is tit pick.
I thought you were.
No, I just constantly,
I thought we were going
constantly
dick
think of
pic,
like
too.
tit pick, like in my mind, and I'm like, dude, why is Bill Simmons promoting tit picks? This is terrible.
Maybe he likes titties.
I doubt it.
doesn't?
Not him. Not Simmons. I have thoughts on this. Okay.
Shit.
Okay. Let's get on those socials. Let's share. Text the link to your friends. Comment on our. Give us reviews on the Apple and on the Spotify. Do the things.
Yes.
Spread the love.
Spread the love. We're slowly growing, but we need to grow less slowly. So tell some people about us.
We're growers, not showers.
Yeah. Well,
What that means.
and you know what? If we could grow enough, we might show you. Okay.
Bye-bye.